If we long to believe that the stars rise and set for us, that we are the reason there is in the universe, does science do us any service in deflating our conceit? Who are we? We find that we live on an insignificant planet of a humdrum star lost in a galaxy far away in some forgotten corner of a universe in which there are far more galaxies than people.
The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. Our contemplations of the cosmos stir us. There's a tingling in the spine, a catch in the voice, a faint sensation as if a distant memory of falling from a great height. We know we are approaching the grandest of mysteries. The size and age of the cosmos are beyond ordinary human understanding. Lost somewhere between immensity and eternity is our tiny planetary home, the Earth. For the first time, we have the power to decide the fate of our planet and ourselves. This is a time of great danger, but our species is young and curious and brave. It shows much promise. In the last few millennia, we have made the most astonishing and unexpected discoveries about the cosmos and our place within it. I believe our future depends powerfully on how well we understand this cosmos in which we float like a mote of dust in the morning sky.
Carl Edward Sagan was known for presenting the award-winning 1980 television series Cosmos, A Personal Voyage, which has been seen by more than 600 million people in over 60 countries, making it the most widely watched PBS program in history. Carl Sagan was born on November 9 of 1934. He was an American astronomer, astrochemist, author, and highly successful popularizer of astronomy, astrophysics, and other natural sciences. He pioneered exobiology and promoted the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI. Carl Sagan was born in Brooklyn, New York, to a Russian Jewish family. His father, Sam Sagan, was a Russian immigrant garment worker. His mother, Rachel Muller-Gruber, was a housewife. Carl was named in honor of Rachel's biological mother, Chaya Clara, the mother she never knew. Sagan graduated from Rahway High School in Rahway, New Jersey in 1961. He attended the University of Chicago, where he participated in the Ryerson Astronomical Society and received a BA with General and Special Honors in 1954, a BS in 1955, and an MS in 1956 in physics. He had this all before earning a PhD degree in 1960 in astronomy and astrophysics. Sagan lectured and did research annually at Harvard University until 1968. When he moved to Cornell University in New York, he became a full professor in 1971. He directed the Laboratory for Planetary Studies there. From 1972 to 1981, Sagan was the Associate Director of the Center for Radiophysics and Space Research at Cornell.
Sagan was a scientist connected with the American space program since its inception. From the 1950s onward, he worked as an advisor to NASA. One of his many duties during his tenure at the space agency included briefing the Apollo astronauts before their flights to the moon. Sagan contributed to the many of the robotic spacecraft missions that explored the solar system during his lifetime, arranging experiments on many of the expeditions. He conceived the idea of adding an unalterable and universal message on a spacecraft destined to leave the solar system that could potentially be understood by any extraterrestrial intelligence that might find it. Sagan assembled the first physical message that was sent into space, a gold anodized plaque attached to the space probe Pioneer 10, launched in 1972. Pioneer 11, also carrying another copy of the plaque, was launched the following year. He continued to refine his designs throughout his lifetime. The most elaborate message he helped to develop and assemble was the Voyager Golden Record that was sent out with the Voyager space probes in 1977.
The journey for each of us begins here. We're going to explore the cosmos in a ship of the imagination, unfettered by ordinary limits on speed and size, drawn by the music of cosmic harmonies. It can take us anywhere in space and time. Perfect as a snowflake, organic as a dandelion seed, it will carry us to worlds of dreams and worlds of facts. Come with me.
Carl Sagan's contributions were central to the discovery of the high surface temperatures of the planet, Venus. In the early 1960s, no one knew for certain the basic conditions of that planet's surface. And Sagan listed the possibilities in a report later depicted for the popularization in a Time Life book, Planets. His own view was that Venus was dry and very hot, as opposed to the balmy paradise others had imagined. Sagan is best known, however, for his research on the possibilities of extraterrestrial life, including experimental demonstration of the production of amino acids from basic chemicals by radiation. Sagan was a proponent of the search for extraterrestrial life. He urged the scientific community to listen with the radio telescope for signals from intelligent extraterrestrial life forms. So persuasive was he that by 1982, he was able to get a petition advocating SETI. This was a tremendous turnaround in the respectability of this controversial field. Sagan also helped Dr. Frank Drake write the Arecibo message, a radio message beamed into space from the Arecibo radio telescope on November 16, 1974, aimed at informing extraterrestrial life about Earth.
Sagan believed that the Drake equation and substitution of reasonable guesstimates suggested that a large number of extraterrestrial civilizations would form, but the lack of evidence of such civilization highlighted by the Fermi paradox suggests technological civilization tends to destroy themselves rather quickly. This stimulated his interest in identifying and publicizing ways that humanity could destroy itself.
There are an enormous number of stars. Only some of them will have planets suitable for life. On only some of those worlds will intelligence arise. And perhaps a few of those civilizations will avoid the trap jointly set by their technology and their passions. If there are many civilizations, one of them should be rather close by. If there are few civilizations, then even the nearest may be very far away. This is one of the great questions. How many advanced civilizations capable, at least of radio astronomy, are there in the Milky Way galaxy?
Sagan's deep concern regarding the potential destruction of human civilization in a nuclear holocaust was conveyed in a memorable cinematic sequence in the final episode of Cosmos called Who Speaks for Me.
Every thinking person fears nuclear war, and every technological nation plans for it. Everyone knows it's madness, and every country has an excuse. There's a dreary chain of causality. The Germans were working on the bomb at the beginning of World War II, so the Americans had to make one first. If the Americans had one, the Russians had to have one.